Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be exploring this sermon called Abraham's Legacy, Faith, Obedience, and Passing the Torch.
Oh, yeah.
And we're really going beyond just the typical, like retelling the Bible story kind of thing. We're going to try to uncover how Abraham's life can offer like a blueprint for living well,
Right.
living a life of
They're
purpose.
leaving something behind.
Yeah, exactly. And passing on a meaningful legacy. And this is for everyone, like, regardless of your beliefs or anything like that.
Absolutely. And what's so interesting about this sermon, right, is it takes these like ancient narratives
Yeah.
and brings them into the modern world. It's like, how do we take Abraham's journey and figure out what wisdom we can use in our own lives for our own challenges and for the things we want to achieve?
Exactly. And it all starts with this like powerful image, right? In Genesis 25.8, where it says Abraham dies
Okay.
at a good old age, an old man and full of years. And it just got me thinking, like, what does that even mean? What does it mean to live a life full of years?
That's a great question. And the sermon like really digs deep into that.
Yay.
It's not just about living a long time.
Right.
It's about the richness of experiences, the impact we have,
Yeah.
the purpose we find in life,
Yeah.
And it suggests that Abraham, he achieved this fullness through his faith
Yeah. Okay.
and through his obedience, even when things got really tough.
I gotta admit, when I hear faith and obedience, I
Yeah.
kind of think of like, blind following, but the sermon kind of paints a different picture.
Oh, absolutely. The sermon really emphasizes that Abraham's faith was not passive.
Okay.
It was an active thing, right? Like he had to deal with some serious trials. Take, for example, when God told him to just leave his homeland, venture out into the unknown. That took so much trust
Yeah.
and willingness to just step outside of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
But it was that obedience that led him to becoming the father of a nation.
Yeah.
So it's about understanding that sometimes taking that leap of faith, even when it's scary, it can lead to incredible growth and fulfillment.
It definitely makes me think about times in my own life when I've had to like make those tough decisions and step into the unknown. And it's definitely not always easy.
Right.
But like Abraham, I've found those leaps of faith often lead to the most rewarding experiences. What about you? Have you ever had like those moments where you just had to trust?
Yeah.
Maybe not in a religious sense, but just trust your gut.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what's so powerful about this sermon.
Yeah.
It goes beyond like just religion and it speaks to like a human experience. We all go through that, the struggle to find purpose and meaning, to make choices that line up with our values,
Right.
even when it's hard. And then it uses Abraham's life as like a roadmap
Yeah.
to show us that even with all the challenges, a life full of years is possible for anyone.
And it's interesting because we often picture Abraham as this like wise old patriarch,
The beard, the staff.
Right. But, the sermon reminds us that he lived to be 175 years old.
Wow.
Imagine all the challenges and triumphs, right, packed into that lifetime.
It's incredible.
He didn't just exist. He was like shaping his life and the world around him.
Exactly. And one of the things that always gets me is how he dealt with his family.
Yeah.
Like all those complicated relationships, especially with his sons.
Right.
Think about Isaac and Ishmael, different mothers. They came together to bury their father.
Right.
And despite all the rivalry they had, they found unity in their father's legacy.
Yeah, that part in Genesis 25.9 like really struck me because it wasn't like this, picture perfect family dynamic.
Yeah.
It was messy and complicated and full of tension.
Real life, right.
Right. But they chose to come together in this moment of loss.
Yeah.
And it makes you think about the power of shared experiences, even the difficult ones, to like bring people together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It really shows how someone's legacy can go beyond personal differences and be a foundation for connection and reconciliation. And it makes you, how can we do that in our own lives? How can we build bridges even with people we disagree with?
Yeah.
Where can we find that common ground and that purpose that helps us move forward together?
Yeah.
It's powerful stuff.
It is. And that idea of finding common ground like really resonates with me because it's so easy to get caught up in our differences,
Yeah.
But this sermon reminds us that we often have way more in common than we realize.
Absolutely. And building on that idea of a shared legacy, the sermon takes us to Genesis 25.101,
Okay.
where God blesses Isaac.
Right.
But this happens after Abraham dies.
Yeah.
It shows how a legacy doesn't end with a person.
Yeah.
It just keeps on going,
Yeah.
impacting future generations.
It's like passing the torch, right?
Exactly.
It made me think of mentors I've had,
Yeah.
teachers that like shaped how I think,
Oh, yeah.
even family traditions that have been passed down for
Yeah.
generations. It's all about that.
It's about equipping others to carry that flame, so to speak.
Yeah, and the sermon emphasizes that passing the torch isn't just about money
Right.
or even just religious beliefs, right?
Right.
It's the values we pass on, the knowledge, skills,
Yeah.
even just our perspectives that we give to the people around us.
I love that. It makes legacy like less about a thing
Right.
and more about what we contribute to the world.
It's the intangible stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
what kind of torch are we passing on? You know,
Yeah.
what are we doing to help others live fulfilling lives
Right. That's the big question.
and make a positive impact?
It is. And the sermon suggests that it all starts with living a life that's centered on faith and obedience.
Okay.
And I know you might be thinking, ugh, religion again.
Right.
But let's just reframe those concepts, you know?
Okay.
Think of faith as trust,
Right. Yeah.
trusting yourself, your abilities, even trusting in something bigger than yourself.
I like that. That's way more relatable, you
Yeah.
know, less about dogma.
More about just that inner voice we all have,
Exactly.
that compass.
And then there's obedience, right? And in this context, we can think of it as integrity.
Okay.
It's about acting in line with your values, even when it's hard. It's doing what's right, even when no one's watching, because it's just who you are.
So it's not blind obedience, it's like making conscious choices,
Yeah,
right? Intentional choices
Yeah,
that
yeah.
reflect like our deepest belief.
absolutely. That reminds me of that story about Abraham being willing to sacrifice Isaac.
Oh, yeah.
I used to think of it as like, blind faith,
Right.
but now I see it completely differently.
How so?
Well, for me, it was just about following orders.
Yeah.
It was about Abraham wrestling with this impossible choice.
Right.
It was him grappling with what he thought God's will was.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was going against all logic.
Right.
But in the end, it gave him a deeper understanding of faith and a stronger relationship with God.
That's a great point, you know? It shows how faith and obedience, they're not about easy answers. Yeah.
Or just staying comfortable.
No, they make you face your fears.
Right. You got to challenge your own assumptions.
You got to step outside that comfort zone.
And sometimes in those moments of discomfort and uncertainty, that's when we discover like our true strength and resilience.
Absolutely. And that resilience, you know, that willingness to face challenges head on.
Yeah.
That's what helps build a lasting legacy.
Makes me think about the challenges we face today,
Oh, for sure.
as individuals, but also like as a society.
There's so much going on.
So much uncertainty, so much division.
Yeah, it can feel overwhelming sometimes.
It can.
Yeah.
But that's where this whole message of, faith and obedience,
Yeah.
it becomes like even more relevant, I think, because it's a call to action. It's like an invitation to really lean into our values, to trust that we can make a difference and to act with integrity, even when we don't know what's next.
It's about finding that inner strength to keep going, even when things are tough.
And remembering that you're not alone on this journey.
Yeah.
We all have each other to lean on,
Exactly.
to learn from, to support, and to inspire.
And, building a legacy, it's not a one-person job, right?
It's not.
It's collaborative.
Yeah, it's like a tapestry that we all weave together.
Yeah.
All these individuals, trying to make the world a little bit better.
And that idea of working together, coming together to create something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah.
That's such a powerful,
It is
remedy
It is.
to all the isolation and division that we see so much today.
Totally. But you know what? I think we got to dive deeper into that in our next segment.
Right, because we're just getting started. Yeah. That idea of collaboration, like coming together to create something bigger than ourselves.
It's powerful, right?
It is like a real antidote, I think, to all the isolation and division we see.
Absolutely.
So we've been kind of unpacking this idea of legacy as like this collaborative thing, which really challenges, the whole lone hero myth.
Yeah. The self-made person
Right, exactly.
doesn't really exist.
It's more about recognizing that our lives are all interconnected,
Yeah.
and that we can actually make a bigger impact when we work together.
It's a total shift, like from me to we.
Right.
Understanding that we're all part of this bigger thing.
Yeah.
Like an ecosystem. And what we do affects everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And the sermon says that this whole collaborative thing,
Yeah.
it starts in our own communities.
Oh.
Like with our family,
Mm-hmm.
our friends,
Yeah.
the people we live near.
It's about those like everyday interactions, isn't it?
It is.
Like supporting a local business
Yeah.
or volunteering at a school or even just like really listening to a friend who's going through a tough time.
Oh, yeah.
Those little things might not seem like much on their own,
Right.
but they all contribute to making our community stronger.
Totally.
Right.
It's like you're weaving this web of support
Yeah,
that catches people when they fall.
exactly. And it's not always about like direct service either.
Yeah.
Think about mentorship,
Oh, yeah.
where you're sharing your knowledge and experience to help someone else, reach their potential.
It's huge.
Like maybe you're like a seasoned professional
Yeah.
showing a newcomer the ropes.
Right.
Or you're a parent passing down family traditions.
Mhm.
It's all about realizing that we have something to offer.
We all do.
And those contributions, no matter how small,
Right.
can have a lasting impact.
Like planting seeds, right?
Yeah.
You might not see the tree right away,
Mm-hmm.
but eventually it grows into something amazing.
And the sermon doesn't limit this to just like our immediate circles either.
No, it goes way beyond that.
It encourages us to connect with people and organizations that are,
Like-minded.
like-minded. Yeah.
Working towards the same goals.
Exactly.
That's where you get this idea of collective impact.
Right.
When we join forces with people who share our values,
Yeah.
we can achieve so much more than we could alone.
Mm.
Think about all the movements out there, like for social justice, protecting the environment,
Yeah.
even just making our neighborhoods better.
Right. It all comes down to collaboration, bringing people together.
It does.
And I think what I love about this whole approach is
Yeah.
that it not only makes our impact bigger,
Right?
but it also makes the journey so much more enjoyable.
It does.
We can, share the workload,
Yeah.
celebrate our successes together, and just
No.
learn from each other.
And it's a reminder that we don't have to do everything alone.
Yeah.
That feeling of shared purpose,
Mm-hmm.
it's powerful, especially when we're facing tough times.
Absolutely.
And the sermon reminds us that even small acts of collaboration,
Right?
when you multiply those across communities and generations,
Yeah.
they can create a legacy that lasts way beyond our own lifetimes.
This whole deep dive, into Abraham's legacy
Yeah.
has been like a powerful reminder that a life well lived,
It's not just about us.
it's not just about what we achieve, right?
Right.
It's about how we impact others. It's about living with purpose,
Mm-hmm.
acting with integrity,
Yeah.
and leaving the world a little bit better than we found it.
And realizing that we're all part of a bigger story.
Yeah,
This chain that connects us across time and generations.
that's beautiful.
It is.
So as we kind of wrap up,
Okay.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Yeah.
Imagine what would be possible
Okay.
if we all embraced this idea of,
Collaboration.
collaborative legacy building.
Mhm.
If we all committed to supporting each other,
Yeah.
amplifying each other's voices.
Giving everyone a chance to shine.
Yes, and working together to create a world where everyone can thrive.
That's the dream right there.
It's an inspiring vision.
It is.
And it's a call to action for all of us.
It is.
To think about how we can contribute our own unique talents and perspectives to this collective effort.
Love it.
So as you go about your day, just ask yourself,
Okay.
how can I collaborate with others
Yeah.
to create a legacy that goes way beyond my own life?
That's the question right there.
Right. And remember, even small acts of kindness,
Mm-hmm.
connection, and collaboration
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
They really can.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Abraham's legacy.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.
So we've been talking about this idea of, building a legacy together.
Yeah, like a team effort.
Right. And it really challenges that whole idea of the lone hero or the self-made person.
Like we were saying before, it just doesn't really exist.
Exactly. It's more about realizing that we're all connected
We are.
and that we can do so much more when we work together.
It's like that saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
I love that. And the sermon suggests that this whole collaborative approach starts right in our own communities,
Okay.
with our families, our
Yeah.
friends, our neighborhoods.
Like our everyday lives.
It is. It's those everyday interactions, right?
It is.
Like choosing to support a local business
Yeah.
or volunteering at a school,
Or even just like truly listening to a friend who's struggling.
just being there for each other.
Yeah. And those little things might seem small,
They do.
but they all add up.
Yeah. They create a ripple effect.
Right. And it's not always about like direct service either.
Right.
We were talking about mentorship before, where you're using your knowledge and experience to help someone else grow.
Yeah. Empower them.
Exactly. Like maybe you're that experienced professional,
Yeah.
helping someone new to the field.
Right. Showing them the ropes.
Exactly. Or you're a parent passing down traditions and values.
Yeah, it's about realizing that we all have something to offer,
We do.
no matter what stage of life we're in.
And that those contributions, big or small, can have a lasting impact.
It's true. And the sermon doesn't limit this collaboration to just our immediate circle either.
Right. Goes way beyond that.
It encourages us to connect with like-minded people and organizations.
People who share our values and goals.
Exactly. And that's where the idea of collective impact comes in. When we join forces with those people, we can achieve so much more.
It's like that exponential growth.
It is, think about all the movements out there, like for social justice or protecting the environment, even just trying to improve our neighborhoods.
Right. All those things rely on people coming together.
They do, bringing different skills and perspectives to the table.
And you know what I really appreciate about this collaborative approach is that it not only increases our impact, like we said, but it also makes the journey more enjoyable.
It does.
We can share the load,
Yeah.
celebrate our wins together,
Absolutely.
and learn from each other's experiences.
It's a reminder that we don't have to shoulder everything on our own.
Exactly. And that sense of shared purpose can be so empowering.
It can, especially when we're facing challenges.
Absolutely. And the sermon reminds us that even those small acts of collaboration, when you multiply them across communities and across generations, they can create a legacy that lasts way beyond our lifetimes.
It's like planting a tree that will provide shade for years to come.
This whole deep dive into Abraham's legacy has been such a powerful reminder that a life well lived.
Yeah.
It's not just about personal achievement, it's about the impact we have on others.
It's about leaving the world better than we found it.
Exactly. It's about living with purpose, acting with integrity, and contributing to something bigger than ourselves.
And realizing that we're all part of this interconnected web of life.
So beautifully said. And as we wrap up today, I want to leave our listeners with this final thought.
Okay.
As you go about your day, consider how you can collaborate with others.
Yeah.
How you can use your unique gifts and talents to make a positive impact on the world.
How can you be a part of something bigger?
Exactly, because even small acts of kindness, connection, and collaboration can create a ripple effect that extends far beyond our own lives.
So true.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Abraham's legacy.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration.